Welcome, dear brave soul. You're tuning into Horror Podcast, and I'm truly grateful you're here. Whether you're a long-time listener or just stumbled upon this channel, thank you for joining me for another scary tale. If you enjoy these stories, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and means more than you know. I'd also love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from, what brought you here, or even what kind of story you'd like to hear next. Your support keeps this channel going, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Now, let's get into today's horror story. It started with a missed pickup. On Sunday, July 9th, 2023, around 4:15 in the afternoon, a man named Drew Sutter called the South Laramie Police Department to report his ex-wife, 35-year-old Amanda Lynn, missing. According to Drew, Amanda was supposed to meet him in the parking lot of a Safeway to exchange custody of their twin daughters, ages 7. She never showed. She hadn't texted, hadn't called, completely out of character, especially for a day like that. Sunday was Amanda's birthday, and it was her weekend with the kids. At first, Drew assumed there was traffic. Amanda lived in Cheyenne, about 45 minutes away, and the I-80 corridor could get congested during summer weekends. But when 20 minutes passed and her phone went to voicemail, he started to worry. The police told him to give it a few more hours. But Monday came, then Tuesday, and Amanda still hadn't made contact. That's when I found out. My name's Rachel. Amanda and I had worked together at a local salon in Laramie called The Honeycomb for almost 2 years. We weren't best friends, but we were close enough that we texted, grabbed coffee between appointments, swapped dry shampoo recommendations. She was one of those people who made a room feel warmer by being in it. The last time I saw her was Saturday evening. She just finished a balayage for a regular client and was folding towels in the back room. I just clocked out. I remember joking that she'd better not be late for her birthday brunch the next day. She laughed and said, "As long as I get the girls on time, it'll be a good day." She was supposed to close up that night with another stylist, a woman named Lena, except Lena wasn't her real name. That's what nobody knew. Tuesday morning, Amanda's silver Subaru was found abandoned in the lot of a Home Depot off Grand Avenue, on the outskirts of Cheyenne. It had been there for over 2 days. Surveillance footage showed the car entering the lot just after 1 a.m. on Sunday morning. The headlights shut off. Minutes later, a single figure climbed out of the driver's seat and walked out of frame. It wasn't Amanda. I remember watching the clip later, when they released a still to the press. I stared at the blurry outline of the person stepping out of Amanda's car. Ponytail, hoodie, narrow frame. The timestamp in the corner read 1:11 a.m. That person was Lena, or at least the woman we thought was named Lena. At first, no one could find her. She didn't return calls or texts. Her locker at the salon was cleared out. Her Kia Soul, black, dented passenger side, was missing from its usual spot behind the strip mall. She'd even taken her brush roll, which was strange. Most stylists left theirs at the salon overnight. By Wednesday evening, the mystery woman was located at a truck rest stop near Casper, Wyoming, parked between 2 semi-trailers. Asleep in her car. That's how the police described her, asleep. But the way they talked about it later, you could tell something was off. She wasn't just tired. She was ducking, laying low, avoiding light, space, routine. They pulled her out of the car and took her in for questioning. When they asked her name, she said Lena Morgan, but the plates on her Kia didn't match the name. Her license was fake, and her social security number belonged to a woman in Nebraska who died in 2015. It unraveled fast after that. Fingerprint records traced her back to Oklahoma. Her real name was Kelsey Duvall, 41 years old, born in Muskogee County. She'd been reported missing by her family back in 2009, after she disappeared during a cross-country bus trip and never came back. Except she hadn't gone missing. She'd been living under fake names in at least 4 states since then: Washington, Utah, Montana, and finally Wyoming. Nobody knows how many identities she used. She moved from salon to salon, sometimes staying a few months, sometimes less. She paid cash for rooms, kept to herself, and always applied for jobs that required a state cosmetology license, which she somehow had forged in at least 2 states. When the police asked her why she was driving Amanda's car, she didn't answer. When they asked what happened the night Amanda disappeared, she stared at the table. She wouldn't say a word. That's when they charged her. Not with murder. They didn't have a body. Not yet. But they had the footage of her driving Amanda's Subaru. They had receipts from a gas station in Douglas where she used Amanda's debit card to buy fuel and a sandwich. They had her fingerprints on the steering wheel. So they charged her with grand theft auto, identity fraud, and obstruction. And they kept digging. I still can't wrap my head around it. Lena, or Kelsey I guess, was always quiet but not creepy. She smiled. She complimented my outfits. She brought in homemade banana bread once and left a post-it note with "Take 1" written in purple Sharpie. She even gave Amanda's daughters lollipops the last time they visited the salon. Said they looked like twins from a movie. It makes me sick to think about now. I don't think Amanda saw it coming. No one did. But after the arrest, the pieces started falling into place. Amanda's neighbor remembered seeing someone knocking on her door late Saturday night, long after the salon had closed. They didn't recognize the person, but said it looked like a woman in a hoodie with a weird walk. A different neighbor remembered hearing a car engine around midnight. The Subaru. It was gone by morning. All of it was circumstantial. And still, no Amanda. The sheriff gave a press conference the following Monday. He said the investigation had shifted from missing person to presumed homicide. He said they had reason to believe Amanda Lynn was no longer alive. That evidence inside the vehicle and other locations supported that belief. They wouldn't tell us what that evidence was. Amanda's family was devastated. Her mom couldn't stop crying. Her dad stood frozen behind her, arms stiff at his sides. Rob, her ex, held onto the girls so tight during the vigil that one of them started to whimper. And Lena, or Kelsey, whatever name she was using now, just sat in a jail cell, completely silent. She wouldn't tell them where Amanda was, wouldn't say what happened that night, wouldn't give even a hint of why. No one knows if it was premeditated, if something happened at the salon, if Amanda found something out, if Kelsey snapped, or if it had all been building quietly behind the fake smiles and the banana bread. All I know is that I keep thinking about the last thing Amanda said to me. We were standing by the back room, folding towels, and she was talking about taking her girls to a zoo the next weekend. She said, "You'd love them. They're at that age where they ask questions about everything. Like, even if it's a paperclip, they'll find a reason to argue about it." She laughed, then asked if I wanted the rest of her protein bar. I said no. I still had half a muffin in my bag. That was it. That was the last moment. Amanda Lynn was officially declared deceased 2 months later, despite never being found. Her daughters now live full-time with their father. Her family still holds out hope that one day her body will be recovered. For peace. For something like closure. As for Kelsey Duvall, she remains in prison awaiting trial. The charges against her keep growing, especially as they uncover more about her past. She still refuses to say a word about Amanda. She's gone completely quiet, and Amanda is still missing. Every few months, I drive by the house again. I don't even think about it now. It's just muscle memory. Down Douglas Avenue, past the laundromat, up the hill, and there it is. The windows are always dark. There's a lockbox on the door now, some foreclosure notice tucked behind the screen. But I still look for her car out of habit, even though I know it's not coming back. My name's Amina, and I used to live across the street from Nyla and Hassan Sharif in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. When Nyla first moved in, I was the one who brought over a plate of homemade jalebi. She just started working at Mercy Hospital downtown and was finishing up a nursing degree on the side. We'd see each other in the morning sometimes, me walking my dog, her heading to the bus stop in Scrubs with a reusable coffee mug and her laptop bag. She was quiet, but warm. Always polite, always tired. Hassan was the opposite. Loud, controlling. His voice traveled. I could never tell if he was angry or just proud of himself. I knew something was wrong the day I saw the cops outside their house. This was December 12th, 2019. Cold, windy, but no snow yet. 3 officers stood in front of the door, talking to a man from the hospital security team. The guy had his ID badge clipped to his belt and was holding a clipboard. When I got home from work that night, I asked my husband if he'd heard anything. He hadn't. It wasn't until 2 weeks later that I learned Nyla had disappeared. Apparently, she left her shift at Mercy around 4 p.m. on December 9th. Her routine was predictable: subway-style bus home, sometimes stopping at the student lounge at Mount Mercy University to study. That evening, she never made it to class. Security footage from the hospital showed her leaving through the south exit wearing her winter coat and walking toward the 10th Street bus stop. There was no video of her beyond that point. She was never seen again. The next morning, Hassan bought a hatchet and a roll of packing tape from Home Depot on Collins Road. His card history confirmed it. He told the cashier he needed the tape for sealing up a moving box. I've thought about that sentence so many times. That same day, he called Nyla's supervisor at the hospital and said she had to leave the country unexpectedly. Something about a medical emergency with her family in Dhaka. He said she would return in March. When the supervisor asked why she didn't call herself, he claimed she was already in transit. 5 days later, on December 14th, 2 employees from the hospital's HR department stopped by the house to check in. They hadn't been able to confirm her absence with the university either. Hassan opened the door and gave them a different story. Said she'd just left that morning because her mother and father had been seriously injured in a car crash. He repeated that she would return in March. He also asked our other neighbor, Greg, to keep an eye on the house while he took his daughter overseas. Said they were flying to Bangladesh for a 2-week vacation. That same night, Hassan and their 7-year-old daughter boarded a flight out of O'Hare. They never came back. No one called the police until March 5th, 2020. Nyla's coworkers assumed she was still overseas. Her professors didn't question the leave because Hassan emailed them from her account. But when the date he promised came and went, and no one heard anything, the HR department finally called the Cedar Rapids PD. That's when things started to unravel. The police contacted Nyla's parents in Bangladesh. They were fine. No car accident. No injuries. In fact, they hadn't spoken to her since early December. When they learned she was missing, they were confused and angry. They'd received no visits, no letters, no daughter at their door. Hassan had never contacted them. Officers searched the home on Douglas Avenue the next day. Nyla's wallet, passport, and phone were still inside. Her coat was missing, but everything else was there. The basement was flooded, a busted pipe, supposedly, but investigators noted that the water had damaged sections of drywall and possibly destroyed evidence. There was also a patch of fresh concrete laid near the side entrance, clearly new. The ground was still uneven. They brought cadaver dogs, but nothing came of it. They excavated the area and found nothing. They even searched the city landfill, with volunteers combing through trash bags for days. Still nothing. Her body has never been found. By the time police issued an international request for cooperation, Hassan had remarried and was living in Chittagong, 150 miles southeast of Dhaka. His daughter, Zara, had started school there. According to Nyla's brother, Hazaner, who lives in Toronto, they hadn't been able to speak to Zara since 2021. She used to talk to her mother on WhatsApp, he told me once, but then it stopped. He won't let her talk to us anymore. He also said something else. That months after Nyla went missing, Hassan called their mother and said, "Ma, it's been 40 days. Let her go." Just like that. Hazaner said that sentence still haunts them, as if he was admitting it, without ever saying the words. Police say Hassan told 5 different stories about where Nyla went. At one point, he claimed she ran off with someone. Another time, he blamed her mental health. Later, he said her family had threatened him and he feared for his life. But each version contradicted the last. There's no proof she ever left the country, and nothing explaining why Hassan needed a hatchet and packing tape the day after she vanished. Detective Matthew Slater with the CRPD has said publicly that he believes Nyla was murdered. The department has never wavered on that. But Bangladesh doesn't have an extradition treaty with the US. So unless Hassan returns voluntarily, which he won't, there's no way to bring him in. Prosecutors have discussed pursuing a no-body homicide case, but they're stuck. They need Zara. They need a confession. They need something more than what they have. Hassaner told me he worries Zara remembers what happened and is being manipulated. That Hassan tells her if they ever go back to the States, he'll be arrested and she'll be taken away. That's how he keeps her silent. Meanwhile, years have passed. The concrete patch by the house is still there, though it's cracked now. The basement was gutted after the water damage, but I remember how it used to smell, like bleach and old pipe rust. I still picture Nyla at the window sometimes, even though it makes no sense. Just standing there with her coffee, checking the weather before she left for work. That's how I like to remember her. Not scared, not suffering, just quietly preparing for her day. Her daughter is probably 13 now. I wonder if she remembers Iowa, her school, her toys, her mother's voice. I wonder if someday, when she's older, she'll start asking questions and go looking for the answers. I hope she does, because Nyla deserves to be found. When the police knocked on my brother's apartment door that Saturday morning, I figured it was a wellness check. That's what I told myself, anyway. I called in late the night before when Lena never showed up to Mom's birthday dinner. I thought she'd text me or say something in our family group chat, but she didn't. Not a word. My name's Jonah, and my sister Lena Cardenas had never ghosted us before. Not once. She was 49, a high school art teacher in Santee, California, who lived in a 2-bedroom rental with her fiancé Matt. They'd been together almost 9 years, engaged for 4 of them, still dragging their feet on setting a date. He worked at the local Home Depot in El Cajon. They were building a home out in Alpine, slowly, with money Lena had saved from settlement she got years ago after a car accident. She was careful with everything, her time, her students, her money, her plans. That's why I knew something was off. We weren't a dramatic family. We weren't in each other's business all the time. But when Matt called at 1 a.m. saying, "Lena's gone," I knew it wasn't just an argument. According to Matt, he'd come home from his evening shift at Home Depot around 6:45 p.m. on Friday and noticed her car wasn't in the driveway. He figured she had gone to grab dinner or maybe decided to stay over at a friend's after a late showing at the Art House Theater in Mission Valley. He said he took a shower, threw in a load of laundry, and went to bed early. Then, sometime after midnight, he got up to grab a snack from the kitchen. That's when he noticed the closet door in their bedroom was shut. Lena hated closed doors, especially closets, said it made her feel like there was something hiding. He opened it and found her. Lena's body was on the floor of the walk-in closet. No visible wounds, no blood, just cold skin and stillness. That's what Matt told the dispatcher. That's what he told the cops. The official time of the 911 call was 1:12 a.m. I got the news at 2:03. By the time I reached the apartment, the street was taped off and squad cars were out front. I tried to talk to one of the officers, but they said I had to wait. What I remember most about that night was how quiet everything felt. Not peaceful, just flat, like the air had been sucked out of the neighborhood. At first, the police didn't know what to think. No forced entry, no signs of struggle. Her purse and phone were in the living room. Car's still gone, but they didn't like Matt's story. They said his timeline didn't make sense. Said it was strange how calm he sounded on the 911 call, that he volunteered details no one asked for. And then there was the closet. They took him in for questioning the next morning and let him go after a few hours. No charges, no arrest. Matt was the one who found Lena's car too. He told me he spotted it pulled off near a chain link fence behind an old Home Depot garden center on Main Street in El Cajon. He was out driving and just happened to see it. "It's like a nail in my coffin," he said to me when I showed up. "Now they're going to think I did it." I didn't say anything. Over the next 2 days, detectives brought Matt in again, twice. Both times they asked him about his relationship with Lena, his whereabouts, their finances. They said he waived his right to an attorney. They also gave him a polygraph. He said he passed. They said he didn't. On the 3rd day, he gave what they called a vision statement. It wasn't a confession. It was more like a hypothetical. Matt told them, "I keep seeing something like I'm holding her, and then she slips. I think I tripped over her shoes. She hit her head. I didn't mean to. I panicked. I put her in the closet. But the autopsy didn't show blunt force trauma. No head injury. She'd been strangled." And the detectives admitted later, they lied to Matt. They told him his fingerprints were on her neck. Told him she died after he got home. None of that was true. Matt insisted the vision was just that, a blurry, emotional hallucination. Then they let him go again. The case stalled. But there was something else. Something Lena told me 3 weeks before she died. She had met a guy through one of her students, a handyman named Roy who worked on outdoor installations. He was helping Lena move some old art pieces into storage. She said he had a big white pickup with ladders strapped to the side and a sticker on the back that said "Trash Time Hauling." Lena had mentioned she gave him her old laptop and printer after one of their sessions because he said he needed a computer. I didn't like it, her inviting strangers into her home, but she brushed me off, said he was polite, respectful. After her death, I told this to the police. They looked into it. The man's name was Roy Glenn. He had a record: assault, burglary, 2 years in a facility for armed robbery back in '09. He lived less than a mile from where Lena's car was found. They questioned him. Roy agreed to speak without a lawyer. He even took 2 polygraphs. But nothing stuck. They didn't have anything solid. 2 years later, in 2021, Roy was convicted of raping and attempting to kill a 14-year-old girl. He had taken her to a vacant unit in a foreclosed triplex and left her unconscious in a bathroom closet. She survived. That's when they circled back. Detective Reno Liu with the cold case unit got permission to interview Roy in prison. He confessed to killing Lena, said he was offered $7,000 by a man claiming to be her fiancé, told him she'd be home alone that Friday, and to make it look like an accident. No weapons, gloves, a hat to block the cameras, and to put her in the closet where the guy could find her. Roy said the money wasn't in the closet like promised, so he bailed, took her car, and left it behind the Home Depot. Matt denied everything, said he didn't know Roy, never hired anyone, claimed the confession was a lie. He was indicted anyway. Prosecutors say they plan to use his vision statement as evidence that he gave inconsistent stories. They also say Roy will testify against him, but they haven't found phone records, emails, or bank withdrawals linking the two. Roy still says he never got paid, and that's where it stands. Lena's been gone for almost 4 years. Matt's trial starts in 2 weeks. I don't know what happened. I really don't. I don't know if Roy made it all up, or if Matt did something he's never been able to admit. But I do know this: closets don't shut themselves, and Lena hated closed doors.